What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I work on this train. What are you doing here?
Hey, what are we doing here? I tell you what we're doing here. We're on our way to Las Vegas to see our close and personal friend, Wayne New. Why?
And still the welterweight champion, Buck McGee.
I got involved in Runaway Train when I was doing a play up at Hartford. I was doing The Glass Menagerie. Tennessee Williams had died a couple of years prior, and they were doing Tennessee Williams revamps. And I was doing Glass Menagerie up there, and they sent me the script. And it was a very thick script. It was about 200 pages long. I believe it was Kurosawa's version, although it didn't say that on the script, but it was very thick and very descriptive. Everything was described like a painting, and I loved it, but I said it needs to be edited. And then I went away and I did a movie called The Pope of Greenwich Village, and didn't hear again from the Runaway Train people for over a year. And then when I got the script, it was very different, and it was great.
Freeze, sucker.
Hey, man, nobody's gonna hear us.
Just don't do it.
Hey, Manny, you don't treat me like a punk, okay?
This is interesting in Runaway Train because he was from the Northeast. He was a very street kind of New York kind of a kid, and really a tough nut to deal with. And when I read it, because he was in for statutory rape, if you play him all tough and bad, statutory rape is violent and uncool, and not likable on any level. So I asked if I could make him a country bumpkin as opposed to a tough street kid. If I can make him a country bumpkin, because I thought it would be more likable and more innocent. So if we talk like this, it'd be kind of like, innocent and sweet and stupid, but not mean and evil. If we talk like this, maybe he's going to be a bad kind of evil guy. So I asked if I could change the accent to a very light agrarian Southern accent. And the director, of course, is Russian, so he doesn't even hear accents. He just says, "Sure, do what you want, do what you want." So I made the guy a little country bumpkin, so I would not scare the girls. That's basically why.
Hey, sweetheart, how would you like a really good fuck, huh?
Just try it. Just try it.
Freeze on that bullshit.
Andrei Konchalovsky, what I recall about Andrei is he's the most pompous, arrogant, funny, smart, driven man maybe I've ever worked for, maybe. His grandfather, I believe it's his grandfather, wrote Russia's your national anthem. So he's Russian royalty, and he lets you know it. And he's a very good director. He's a very passionate director, and he's a very smart man. He is incredibly, violently adamant about what he wants. And so if you agree with him, you're in heaven. And if you don't, you're in hell.
Just do what I tell you and don't crap on yourself. I let you tag along to be a regular, not a piece of shit.
Well, John Voight is one of the kindest, most gentle, sweet men I've ever known in my life. And in fact, John's about 6'2" or 6'3", and John only weighed about 180 pounds at the time. John wore a full body suit, so he looked enormous. He looked like he weighed 260, 280, but he weighed 100 pounds lighter. And he was very thin. But he and I actually bonded when we're doing makeup tests, and he was doing a bunch of different scar tests, and he looked up at me at one point in the makeup mirror. He looks up at me and he goes, "What do you think?" And he looked pretty awful. I said, "I don't think you want to know." And he goes, "That's good." And that's when we kind of made friends, was in the makeup testing. And we had a few days of rehearsal with the writer, a man named Eddie Bunker, and so we bonded through the rehearsal process. And John Voight is one of the half a dozen best actors, for me, who's ever acted. So I'm a big fan of Johnny's, and I love working with him. It was a real pleasure. The shooting in the tundra of Alaska, we call it, was hell. Actually, that movie was supposed to be shot in Montana. And we all arrived in Montana, and we parked and got unpacked and got ready to go, and about 2 days passed, and the snow, which, when we got there was about 2 feet deep, started to thaw. And by the 4th day, the snow was pretty much gone. So our producers said, "Well, this story takes place in Alaska. We go to Alaska." So we went to Alaska, and so we started a week or 8 days late, and so we had some catching up to do. But we got to Anchorage, Alaska, and a beautiful ski resort, and we're honestly, they would drop us. Well, every morning, this is kind of a cool story. Every morning, we'd meet about 5:30 or 6 at this train station and get on this train. They would take us up this part of the track that was not being used, and we get on this other track, and we go up and down this track all day long shooting this movie. And it was the hardest filming I've ever done physically, ever. It was not fun. But two great things made it enjoyable, though. Andre's temperament, he was always mad, and John was always sweet, always. And our DP, Alan Hume, and his crew, about half of them are his family. And they made it so much fun for me as an actor, because they were so bonded, and they were so talented, and they were so much fun to be around. And we were all miserable because it was cold as a nun's ass. Is that a bad thing to say? It was cold. And so, I mean, brutally cold. And when you're on a train, even though you're roped off, and so you're safe. And I'm with stuntmen. I did my own stunts back then. And I'm walking on the outside of the train with John's stunt double. And I mean, it is awful cold. Your skin is like coming off your bone, it feels like. Even though the train's only doing like 40 miles an hour, it's not fast. But it was so cold and so brutal. And in fact, interesting story, how I became a member of the Stuntmen's Association was because of Bob Fosse. He wanted me to do this thing where I hang out a window in this movie, and you see my face up 35 stories high. So I had to become a member of the Stuntmen's Association in order to do it. So I did it, and I just kept up my membership, and I did my own stuff up until Runaway Train, and I'm like walking behind John's stunt double one day. And I stepped on a piece of ice. It was nothing, but I slipped like this. It wasn't bad, but I scared myself. And I realized I'm an actor. I pretend to do stuff. I don't really do stuff. So I said, get me inside, get my stunt double dress. I'm never doing this again. And I never have. I've played it safe ever since.
Get out there, show me you ain't got shit for blood.
Give me a break.
Uh-huh. Get out there. Don't you talk to me. Don't you talk to me. I don't know who you are. You want to be a tough guy? Get the fuck out of here. Get out.
The studio set for the Runaway Train set was in LA. We shot all the exteriors in Alaska and almost all the interiors in LA, and it was the old CBS lot, which if you don't know CBS, you won't know it, but it was just a big old empty lot, and they would put train cars in it, and they'd rock them. have guys outside, action, and they push the cars, cut, and they stop, sit down, have a Coke, you know, and that's how we did all the interiors.
You think this is some cops and robbers game?
Hey, man, you picked the train.
You're right.
Yeah.
It is such a special movie, in that we're all these symbols of life, you know, all the characters in it, and how we deal, and so it's hard to really, as an actor, it's hard for me to say how it should have been promoted. I just think it's a gritty, good, fun movie.
I don't believe this shit. We get out of a maximum security prison and wind up on an unmanned train with this bitch and bad news.
You guys bust out of Stonehaven?
Yeah, so what?
Man, why'd you tell her that?
You told the clown.
I remember there was lots of opening nights on both coasts, and they kept flying us, you know, to all the openings. I went to an opening, I think, in Jersey, an opening in New York, an opening in Boston, an opening in LA, an opening in San Francisco. Yeah, I went to a bunch of openings of it, and they were all very splashy and all very crowded, and I love that movie. They had offered me other movies. I have a bone to pick with them, though, and maybe this will help. When I went back, because I was nominated for an Academy Award for this movie, Runaway Train. I was very proud of that, and I went back after the ceremony to get my certificate of nomination, and they said, "Your producer picked it up." I said, "Okay," and but then I never saw him up till about 5 years later. I was in his office, and my Academy Award certificate is on his wall. So if anybody can get it off that wall and get it back to me, I really want it. It means so much to me, and he swiped it. So Golden, I want my Academy Award certificate. Okay, thanks.
I thought you was my friend. I thought we was partners.
For an actor, there's the only thing better than an Academy Award nomination is winning one. It's pretty incredible, and everybody knows your name for a month, and everybody knows that you're a pretty good actor for a month, and everybody knows that you might get to take home an Academy Award for a month, and it's a great month, and everybody wants you at all the parties, and it's fun. It's a little overblown, but it's fun.
Holy shit!
Each character is just a slice of our psyche, and when you can watch your psyche splayed out like that in different characters, it's very satisfying. It's very understandable, and you can also follow good, bad, confused, lost. You can follow the avenues very specifically because they're individual characters, and it's a lot of fun, and it's really well written. Eddie Bunker, he wrote Straight Time for Dustin Hoffman, Runaway Train for John and I, and he served 17 years in Folsom, and knew a lot about life and the loss thereof. And this movie is about that, and he captured it perfectly.
I ain't giving up. No matter what I have to do, no matter who has to die, I ain't giving that pleasure. No fucking way.
I don't want to die, Manny.
I ain't getting caught alive.